Amy sued for her own recipes. You won't believe the legal letter Caryn Chandler just allegedly sent to shut down Amy Roloff's business. But Marek just reportedly found the one document that proves Caryn may have committed federal perjury. We are talking about the nuclear option, a move so aggressive and so calculated that it threatens to tear the entire Roloff legacy apart once and for all. If you thought the farm negotiations were dirty, you haven't seen anything yet. This is the brand theft conspiracy, and we are uncovering the exclusive theories and insider reports that suggest Matt and Caryn are trying to commandeer Amy's cooking empire. Welcome back to LPBW Update, where we dig deeper than the cameras ever will. Today, we are investigating a situation that is developing rapidly behind the scenes. We are hearing whispers from sources close to the production that a legal war is brewing. Not over land, not over the big house, but over a jar of salsa. We need to talk about the terrifying envelope that allegedly landed in Amy Roloff's mailbox earlier this week. According to speculations circulating among insiders, Amy received a formal cease and desist letter. For those of you who don't know, a cease and desist is the first shot fired in a lawsuit. It is a demand to stop doing something immediately or face severe financial consequences in court. But what was in this letter? What could Amy possibly be doing that would warrant legal action from her ex-husband and his girlfriend? The theory is that Matt and Caryn have secretly filed for a federal trademark on the term Roloff Farms. Now, you might be thinking, surely Matt already owns that. Here is where it gets sticky, and here is where the betrayal happens. We have reviewed public trademark classifications, and it appears there is a push to trademark the name Roloff Farms, specifically for Class 29 and Class 30 goods. These are the federal classifications for food products: jams, jellies, sauces, and yes, specifically, pumpkin salsa. The cease and desist reportedly demands that Amy Roloff immediately pull her famous pumpkin salsa from store shelves and her website, or pay the new trademark holders, Matt and Caryn, a royalty fee. And we aren't talking about a small percentage. The rumor mill suggests they are demanding a staggering 40% of her gross revenue. Imagine that. Amy does the cooking, Amy developed the recipe, Amy built the fan base, and Caryn wants nearly half the money just because she is currently sleeping in the farmhouse. Let's analyze the timing of this, because in the world of the Roloffs, timing is never accidental. Amy has been thriving. Since the divorce, she has rebranded herself not just as a reality star, but as a lifestyle brand. Her cooking videos get thousands of views. Her Amy's Little Kitchen segment is a hit. Her salsa sells out online constantly. She has proven that she does not need the physical dirt of the farm to be successful. She carries the heart of the farm with her. And that is exactly what seems to be driving Matt and Caryn crazy. We have heard reports that sales at the actual farm stand have been fluctuating. The pumpkin season is short, the overhead is high. Matt is constantly pouring money into new construction projects that may or may not ever be finished. They need a new revenue stream. They need cash that comes in year-round, not just in October. And they looked across the valley, saw Amy making money hand over fist with her food line, and decided they wanted a piece of that action. But they couldn't just ask for it. Amy would never agree to partner with Caryn on a food line. The tension is too high. The history is too painful. So, the theory goes, they decided to steal it. By filing a trademark for the brand name Roloff Farms regarding food items, they are essentially claiming that because Amy used the farm's name to launch the salsa years ago, the intellectual property belongs to the farm, not to Amy. It is a ruthless corporate maneuver. It is the kind of thing you expect from a shark on Wall Street, not the father of your children. The cease and desist alleges that by selling Roloff salsa, Amy is profiting off the farm's fame unfairly. It claims that she is confusing the marketplace. They are arguing that when a customer buys Amy's salsa, they think they are supporting Matt's farm, and therefore, Matt deserves the money. This brings us to the villain's motive. We need to take a hard look at Caryn Chandler's role in this. For years, viewers have pointed out the power dynamic shift. Caryn started as the farm manager. She was an employee. She took orders. Now, she is the lady of the manor. But there is one thing Caryn has never been able to buy, and that is the audience's love. Amy is the matriarch, Amy is the mother, Amy is the heart. Caryn has tried to launch her own initiatives. Remember the rumors about her wanting to redesign the farm stand? Remember the clips where she tries to take charge of the Pumpkin Festival logistics? Every time she tries to step into the spotlight as a business owner, the fans reject it. The comment sections are brutal. People see her as an interloper, and that has to sting. It has to create a deep-seated jealousy. There is a psychological aspect here that we cannot ignore. Caryn sees Amy making money independently, without Matt's help, and without the farm's physical resources. Amy doesn't need the big house. She has her talent. Caryn, on the other hand, derives her relevance in this narrative entirely from her relationship with Matt. If she isn't Matt's girlfriend, she's just a former employee. If Amy isn't Matt's wife, she is still Amy Roloff, beloved cook and mother. This disparity drives the conflict. The cease and desist isn't just about money. It is about control. It is about erasing Amy's independence. If they can force Amy to pay them a royalty, they essentially turn Amy back into an employee. They make her work for them again. It is a power play of the most toxic variety. We also have to look at the financial pressure. Building a dream home is not cheap. Matt's custom house, with its specialized logs and massive layout, has likely gone over budget. We have seen the delays. We have seen the frustration. Where is the cash coming from? If the farm's profit margins are thinning, hijacking Amy's salsa business is a quick way to inject liquid cash into their accounts. It is lazy, it is predatory, but from a purely business standpoint, it is a strategy. A cruel strategy, but a strategy nonetheless. The insider theory suggests that Caryn was the one who pushed for the trademark lawyer. Matt, for all his faults, usually focuses on construction and land. Intellectual property theft regarding recipes? That feels like a different kind of calculation. That feels like someone who knows the books, someone who managed the farm office for years and knows exactly how much money that salsa brings in. Imagine the scene at Amy and Chris's house when that letter arrived. The shock, the feeling of being hunted. Amy spent 30 years on that farm. She raised 4 children there. She cooked thousands of meals in that farmhouse kitchen. That salsa recipe isn't just a list of ingredients. It is her history. It is her legacy. To have the woman who replaced her try to legally confiscate that history is a violation that goes beyond business. It is personal. It is vindictive. And it sets the stage for a battle that Amy didn't want, but one she simply cannot afford to lose. If she gives in, she loses her brand. If she fights, she drains her savings on lawyers. It is the perfect trap. Or at least, Matt and Caryn thought it was the perfect trap. But they forgot one thing. They forgot about Marek. And they forgot that when you file documents with the United States government, you have to tell the truth. You cannot lie to the USPTO. And this is where the story takes a turn that no one saw coming. This is where the aggressors made a fatal error. Because in their rush to steal the brand, in their greed to secure that 40% royalty, they allegedly cut corners. They got sloppy. And that sloppiness left a paper trail. A paper trail that Marek, with his background in real estate and contracts, knows exactly how to read. We are hearing that Chris didn't just get mad, he got busy. He started digging. While Amy was spiraling, wondering if she had to shut down her website, Chris was online, searching the Federal Trademark database. He was pulling the files. He was looking at the dates. And what he found is going to shake the foundation of Roloff Farms. There is a specific line on every trademark application where the applicant has to swear, under penalty of perjury, when the brand was first used in commerce. This is the date of first use. It is the most critical piece of information in the entire application. If you get this wrong, your trademark is weak. If you lie about it, you have committed fraud. According to our exclusive theory, on the application filed by Matt and Caryn, they listed the date of first use for the Roloff Farms food products as 2018. Why 2018? Because that is roughly when Caryn took full control of the operations and when the divorce settlement was finalizing. They are trying to claim that the brand as a commercial food entity started with them. in the modern era, likely to cut Amy out of the legacy claim. They want to pretend the last 30 years didn't happen. They want to establish a new timeline where Caryn is the co-founder of the food line. But history has a receipt, and in this case, the receipt is on a VHS tape gathering dust in Amy's attic. This is where the conspiracy crumbles, and where the counterattack begins. Stay tuned, because in the foreword of this report, we are going to break down exactly what Chris Marek found, and why a simple video from 1995 is about to become the most important piece of evidence in reality TV history. We are deep in the trenches of the Roloff Farms trademark war, and if you are just joining us, the situation has shifted from a simple family dispute to a potential federal crime. Amy Roloff is holding a cease and desist letter that threatens to bankrupt her cooking business, a business built on recipes she perfected while raising her children. Matt and Caryn are allegedly demanding a 40% cut, claiming they own the Roloff name for all food products. It looks like a checkmate. It looks like the bullies win. Amy is ready to sign the papers, ready to give up her hard-earned money just to make the fighting stop. She is tired. She has fought Matt for decades, and she just wants peace. But Chris Marek isn't tired. Chris Marek is angry, and Chris Marek is about to pull a thread that unravels the entire conspiracy. We need to talk about Chris Marek's background because it is crucial to this theory. Before he was a reality TV husband, Chris was, and is, a successful real estate agent. He deals in contracts, he deals in property rights, and he deals in the fine print that most people ignore. When Matt sends a document, he expects Amy to get emotional. He expects her to react with her heart, to cry, to get flustered. He does not expect someone to sit down with a highlighter and a laptop and cross-reference every single claim against federal databases. That is exactly what Chris did. While Amy was pacing the kitchen floor, Chris went to the United States Patent and Trademark Office website. This is public information, but you have to know where to look. You have to know how to navigate the trademark status and document retrieval system, or TSDR. According to our investigation into the filings, Chris pulled up the application for Roloff Farms regarding Class 29 food goods. He started reading the declaration. A trademark application isn't just a form you fill out like a magazine subscription. It is a legal affidavit. You are swearing facts to the federal government. As Chris scanned the document, his eyes reportedly landed on a specific field: date of first use in commerce. This date is the holy grail of trademark law. It establishes who was there first. It establishes seniority. And on this application, the date listed wasn't 1990. It wasn't 2000. It wasn't even 2010. The date listed was allegedly in the fall of 2018. Let that sink in for a moment. 2018. Why would they choose that date? Think about the timeline. 2018 is post-divorce. 2018 is when Caryn Chandler had fully cemented her position as the manager and partner of the farm operations. By claiming the brand started in 2018, Matt and Caryn are attempting a rewrite of history so brazen it is almost impressive in its audacity. They are legally arguing that the Roloff Farms salsa brand did not exist when Amy was cooking it for the kids. They are arguing it didn't exist when Amy was selling it at the roadside stand in the early 2000s. They are claiming that the brand only became a valid commercial entity when Caryn took over. It is a calculated move to erase Amy's contribution entirely. If the brand started in 2018, then Amy has no claim to it because she was already off the deed. It is a loophole designed to cut the mother of the family out of the family legacy. But Chris Marek spotted the flaw immediately. He knows, just like we know, just like you know, that Amy has been selling that salsa for decades. But knowing it isn't enough. You have to prove it. And you have to prove that the people filing the trademark knew they were lying. This is where the intent to defraud comes in. Chris kept reading. He scrolled down to the signature block. On every trademark application, there is a standard oath. It reads, roughly, that the applicant declares that to the best of their knowledge, no other person, firm, corporation, or association has the right to use the mark in commerce. By signing that document, Caryn, assuming she signed as the authorized representative for the farm's business entity, swore under penalty of perjury that she didn't know anyone else using the name Roloff for salsa. This is the smoking gun. How can Caryn Chandler, a woman who worked at the farm for years before dating Matt, a woman who managed the pumpkin season staffing, claim she didn't know Amy was selling salsa? She was there. She saw the jars. She likely counted the inventory. For her to sign a federal document stating that no conflicting rights exist is not just a lie. It is a federal offense. It is called fraud on the USPTO. And the consequences for that are not just losing the lawsuit. We are talking about the potential cancellation of all their trademarks. We are talking about fines. In extreme cases, we are talking about criminal charges for perjury. Chris realized in that moment that Matt and Caryn hadn't just overreached. They had walked into a bear trap. But they needed the physical proof. The USPTO works on evidence. If Matt and Caryn say the brand started in 2018, the burden of proof shifts to Amy to show priority of use. Chris looked at Amy and asked the million-dollar question. Do we have proof you sold this before 2018? Amy hesitated. She talked about old receipts, maybe lost in the move. She talked about old ledgers that Matt probably shredded years ago. The digital age wasn't really a thing back then. They didn't have Instagram in 1998. It looked bleak. If they couldn't prove the sales, the lie would stand, and Caryn would win. Then a light bulb went off. The attic. The repository of the Roloff family history. We have seen on the show how much stuff Amy keeps. Matt calls it hoarding. Amy calls it memories. And in this case, those memories were about to save her business. Amy remembered the old camcorders, the massive VHS tapes from the 90s, the days when they filmed everything themselves, long before the TLC camera crews arrived. She remembered filming the very first pumpkin seasons to show her parents back in Michigan. She remembered standing at a folding table, not the fancy pavilion they have now, but a simple folding table, selling her jarred goods. The narrative takes us to the attic. Imagine the dust, the boxes stacked high, the tension in the air. Amy and Chris are digging through plastic bins. They are looking for a needle in a haystack. They find tapes of the kids playing soccer. They find tapes of Christmas mornings. And then they find a tape labeled Pumpkin Season 1995. This is the moment of truth. They take the tape downstairs. They have to find a VCR that still works. The mechanical whir of the machine rewinding is the sound of justice approaching. They press play. The tracking lines flicker on the screen, and then the image clears. There she is, a young Amy Roloff. She is wearing a homemade apron. She is standing in front of a modest wooden stand. And right there, clear as day, zoomed in by whoever was holding the camera, likely Matt himself, is a stack of jars. And on those jars is a label that says Roloff Farms Pumpkin Salsa. The date stamp on the video says October 14th, 1995. The room must have gone silent. This wasn't just a home movie anymore. This was a legal weapon. This tape proved three things definitively. First, it proved priority of use. Amy was using the brand name 23 years before the date Caryn claimed on the application. In trademark law, the first to use the name in commerce wins. Period. Amy wins. Second, it proved that the brand Roloff Farms for food was established by Amy, not Matt, and certainly not Caryn. It reclaims the narrative. Third, and most dangerously for Matt and Caryn, it proves that Matt knew. He was holding the camera. He filmed the jars. For him to later allow his business entity to file a document claiming the brand started in 2018 is verifiable proof of bad faith. He cannot claim ignorance. He cannot say, "Oh, I forgot Amy sold salsa." He filmed it. Chris Marek allegedly looked at Amy and said, "They are done." This changes the entire dynamic of the cease and desist. They aren't going to respond with a plea for mercy. They aren't going to offer a 10% royalty instead of 40. They are going to counterattack. This evidence opens the door for a countersuit that alleges fraud. It turns the tables so completely that Matt and Caryn won't just be fighting for the salsa rights. They will be fighting to keep their names out of a criminal investigation. The brand theft conspiracy relied on Amy being disorganized. It relied on her not having records. It relied on her being too intimidated to fight back. But they forgot that Amy Roloff is the keeper of the archives. They forgot that while they were busy building new structures and erasing the past, Amy was preserving it. The trap has been sprung, but the fallout is going to be messier than anyone predicted. Matt is about to realize that his signature is on a fraudulent application, or that he authorized Caryn to sign a fraudulent application, which makes him an accomplice. The legal team for Amy is preparing a response that doesn't just say, no. It says, we know what you did. In the final part of our report, we will cover the victory. We will detail the explosive meeting where Amy's lawyer slams that VHS tape onto the conference table. We will discuss the panic that ensues at the big house when they realize the game is up. And we will reveal the ultimate humiliation for Caryn Chandler, who tried to steal a legacy only to be defeated by a grandmother with a camcorder. This is the ending Matt Roloff never scripted. We are now entering the final, explosive chapter of the Roloff Farms trademark saga. If the cease and desist was the attack, and the VHS tape was the shield, then what happened next was the nuclear counterstrike. We have arrived at the moment of victory, the moment where the brand theft conspiracy falls apart in spectacular fashion. Amy Roloff, armed with indisputable video evidence from 1995 and the sharp legal mind of Marek, did not just ask for the lawsuit to be dropped. According to our sources, her legal team went on the offensive with a strategy so aggressive it reportedly made Matt Roloff physically ill in the lawyer's conference room. The theory goes that Amy's lawyer drafted a response to the cease and desist that didn't just deny the claims. It accused Matt and Caryn of fraud on the USPTO. This is a serious allegation. In the legal world, accusing someone of lying to a federal agency is the equivalent of pulling a pin on a grenade. The letter allegedly attached a digital copy of that 1995 VHS footage. It showed the timestamp. It showed the jars. It showed the Roloff name being used commercially 23 years before Caryn Chandler ever claimed rights to it. But the letter didn't stop there. It reportedly pointed out that the cameraman in the video, the person documenting the sales, was none other than Matt Roloff himself. This meant Matt couldn't claim he was unaware of the brand's history. It proved that any application he signed or allowed Caryn to sign on behalf of the farm, which claimed a 2018 start date, was a knowing and willful misrepresentation of facts. We have heard whispers about the emergency meeting called at the farm office when this response arrived. You can imagine the scene. Matt, Caryn, and their legal counsel sitting around that big rustic table. They likely expected Amy to offer a settlement. They probably had a calculator out ready to count their 40% royalty. Instead, their lawyer opens the file, watches the clip, and his face goes pale. He has to explain to Matt that they don't have a case. In fact, he has to explain that they have a massive liability. If Amy pushes this to court, she won't just win the right to sell salsa. She could petition to have all of Matt's recent trademarks canceled due to bad faith. The entire intellectual property portfolio of Roloff Farms was suddenly at risk because they got greedy over a jar of pumpkin sauce. This is where the dynamic between Matt and Caryn reportedly cracked. Matt Roloff is a businessman, first and foremost. He is a survivor. He has navigated divorce, scandals, and family feuds. But the one thing Matt will not do is go down with the ship for someone else's mistake. Insider theory suggests that Matt turned on Caryn in that meeting. He realized that her drive to control Amy, her jealousy over the cooking business, had blinded them to the legal reality. Caryn had allegedly pushed for the 2018 date to cut Amy out, and that specific detail was the poison pill that was now killing their case. Matt saw the writing on the wall. If they went before a judge, he would be humiliated. He would be exposed as a man trying to steal his ex-wife's recipes, and worse, he would be on record as having lied to the government. The panic was real. We are hearing that Matt ordered the immediate withdrawal of the cease and desist. No negotiations, no royalties, no 40%, just a complete and total surrender. He reportedly told his team to kill it before it became public record. He wanted the lawsuit gone. He wanted the threat of the countersuit to disappear. For Caryn, this was the ultimate humiliation. She had swung for the fences and struck out. She had tried to assert dominance over the matriarch, and instead, she was forced to retreat, stripped of her power play. The salsa wasn't hers, the brand wasn't hers, and now Matt was looking at her not as his savvy business partner, but as a liability who almost cost him everything. Amy's victory was absolute. By proving priority of use, she essentially locked down her rights to the Roloff name for her cooking products forever. She doesn't need Matt's permission. She doesn't need to pay a dime in royalties. In fact, because of this botched attempt to steal her brand, her legal standing is stronger than it has ever been. If they ever try to come after her again, she just has to point to this incident, point to the VHS tape, and the judge will throw it out. Chris Marek deserves a massive amount of credit here. He didn't let Amy get bullied. He didn't let her get emotional. He used the cold, hard facts to dismantle a conspiracy that had been months in the making. He protected his wife, and he protected her legacy. The fallout at the farm is still settling. We are seeing less of Caryn in the business meetings on the show. We are seeing Matt taking a more cautious approach to his projects. The brand theft conspiracy failed because it underestimated the history of the Roloff family. You cannot erase 30 years of hard work with a single piece of paper. Amy Roloff built that salsa brand jar by jar, customer by customer, long before the cameras and the fame. And thanks to a dusty tape in the attic and a husband who knows how to read the fine print, she gets to keep it. The villains in this story got greedy, they got sloppy, and they got exactly what they deserved: nothing. This story is a reminder that in the world of reality TV, the drama you see on screen is nothing compared to the legal warfare happening behind the scenes. Matt and Caryn tried to pull off a corporate coup in Amy's kitchen, but they messed with the wrong grandma. They forgot that Amy isn't just a character on a show. She is a survivor who has been running this game longer than Caryn has been in the picture. The salsa stays on the shelf, the money stays in Amy's pocket, and the Roloff Farms brand remains, for now, a house divided, with Amy holding the keys to her own kingdom. So, what do you think about this explosive theory? Do you believe Caryn was the mastermind behind the trademark theft? Or was Matt equally to blame for trying to cash in on Amy's success? Do you think Matt should fire Caryn from her management role for almost getting him into federal legal trouble? And most importantly, would you buy Amy's salsa just to support her against this kind of corporate bullying? Let us know in the comments below. If you are Team Amy and you are glad she won this secret war, smash that like button right now. If you think Caryn needs to take a step back and leave the business alone, share this video so everyone knows the truth about what almost happened. We will be tracking the USPTO filings closely to see if they try any other tricks. So make sure you are subscribed and have those notifications turned on. You do not want to miss the next update. Until then, keep watching the background, because the real story is always in the details. Thanks for watching LPBW Update, and we will see you in the next investigation.